talking to Jeff Kinley for these two segments because we're carrying his newest book, Wake the Bride, Facing These Last Days with Your Eyes Wide Open. And if you listen to this program, come to our conferences, follow the ministry in any way, you know how much we appreciate God's eschatological message that is, it's about 1/3 of the Bible. And so how the church today can move on its merry way and ignore this is simply beyond my comprehension. I said that I wanted to play a real short soundbite of Joel Rosenberg. He is in the Middle East. He's being interviewed by CBN News, and I want the balance of the program to play off of some of the things that Joel is saying.
Joel, it's great to be with you back here in the epicenter in the Temple Mount here in Jerusalem.
It's an honor. Thank you, Chris.
Great to be with you. A lot of things have happened since we last talked, and especially the biggest development is Vladimir Putin has come into Syria in a big way militarily. What's your reaction to this development?
We are watching a catastrophic capitulation by the American government in the Middle East. It was bedrock U.S. foreign policy for 6-7 decades to keep the Russians out of the Middle East. And yet we have, the President Obama and his administration have surrendered. We have withdrawn, we have surrendered, we have ceded the playing field to Vladimir Putin, who is a czar rising. He's an imperialist. He's dangerous. And the fact that he is operating with abandon, with complete freedom, militarily, just a few miles north of Israel is stunning and incredibly dangerous.
What are the consequences for the region and for Israel as well?
From my perspective, the first question you have to ask is, are we watching the preparations for the war of Gog and Magog? When you look at the prophecies of Ezekiel 38 and 39, and if you conclude, as I have, that the historical, detective work leads you to that Magog is Russia, then you are looking for an evil leader emerging in Magog, in Russia, who will form a military alliance with Iran and a group of other countries that will come against Israel in the last days from the north. Now, in the 2,500 years since Ezekiel wrote that prophecy, Russia and Iran never had a military alliance, where they were never even friends. The last time Russia ever took military operations of this magnitude in the Middle East was to invade Iran at the end of World War II. Does that mean the prophecies of the War of Gog and Magog will happen soon or even in our lifetime? No. This could be decades or theoretically centuries off. However, when you actually have Russia and Iran fighting on the same side, just miles north of the mountains of Israel, it does give you pause. Iran, who curses Israel every single day of the year, and every few days or every few weeks says we're going to annihilate the Jewish state, Israel's going to disappear. Look, I don't believe that Russian leaders, Putin namely, understand the apocalyptic eschatology or end times theology of Iran's leaders. I believe that Putin is a czar, he's an imperialist, he sees an opportunity. He sees President Obama cutting and running, surrendering, capitulating from the Middle East. He sees an opportunity to move. So I believe that Putin this is a power play for him, but he doesn't understand who he's working with. Iran's leaders are apocalyptically motivated. They have an end times theology. And that is so different from the way Putin sees the world. But the danger is that Putin could get hooked into an attack or a threat against Israel that he doesn't initially plan because he doesn't know who his partners are.
In all of the things that are going on, what do people in the West, particularly the United States, need to know about what's happening here in the Middle East?
Darkness is falling on this region, on the world, but darkness is falling on this region. Muslims are being slaughtered by the hundreds of thousands. There are more than 300,000 dead just in Syria. This is genocide, and it's happening right on the border of a country born out of the ashes of genocide. Every political leader in the United States has always said, never again. We'll never allow the Holocaust to happen again. And yet, the Obama administration is helping Iran on a pathway to having genocidal weaponry. Christians need to understand that these are dark times. Now, there's hope. Christ is coming, and we need to spread the gospel, and people are coming to Christ, Muslims, Jews, more than ever before, out of the chaos and the darkness. But the church can't wait for the American government or any government to do the right thing. We have a command, a series of commands from Christ. Proclaim the gospel, care for the poor, strengthen the church, pray for the persecuted, stand with the suffering, and that's what we need to be doing like never before.
Certainly a time to be praying for the peace of Jerusalem and the whole Middle East. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff Kinley, even Joel Rosenberg says our only hope is the return of Jesus Christ.
Well, it's true. He is our hope. And as we see the storm clouds continuing to gather on the horizon, I think he's exactly right, is that the sky is darkening, almost literally. And sometimes, Jan, prophecy, God's fulfillment of prophecy moves like a glacier, almost so slow that you can't even see it unless you look at it over much time. And then other times, prophecy happens like a lightning strike. And I think sometimes almost like birth pangs, as Jesus talked about, and perhaps we are fastly approaching a time where we're seeing those birth pangs happen in closer frequency to one another, and perhaps this gathering of Russia and perhaps these other nations where Putin to coalesce himself with them could be setting the stage for that final conflict that Ezekiel 38 and 39 talks about. It's really too soon to say. At the very least, we can say this, is that it is foreshadowing that. And I think that's a very safe place to be. But I think that we're seeing those things happen right now, and I don't think there's going to be any turning back. Certainly, radical Islam's not going to lay down their weapons. Certainly, Putin's not going to cut and run like our country tends to do. But as he mentioned, we can't put our hope in our leaders. Our hope is not in our president. Our hope is in the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ. And Christians need to make sure their hearts are calibrated to Him so that they can understand the times and be able to respond to it in their own hearts to Him and prepare themselves for His soon return.